So I don't exactly know where to start with this because I've put my story on paper several times, but I've never really just gone out there and told everyone why I started Privy Peach in person or face to face. I want to keep this as raw and uncut as possible, but I really want to get the message out there. So there are multiple reasons why I started this company, but it really goes back to a personal experience that I had that was really life-changing. In 2013, I was raped. And while I don't want to really get into details of what happened, I ended up sustaining some injuries that ended up impacting me for a very long time. The physical injuries that I experienced didn't just impact me physically, but obviously emotionally and mentally as well. One of the things that happened because of this was I started experiencing terrible pain during sex. And as you would imagine, it had not just an impact on me, but also my relationship. Because if you can't enjoy sex as it's intended to be, it just takes away a closeness that should be there. So I ended up experiencing pain that was so severe that every time I had sex, pretty much I would end up in tears in the bathroom afterward, and I would try to pretend like I was okay during as much as I could because I felt that that was the right thing to do, but I couldn't enjoy it at all. I saw specialists. They prescribed me numbing creams and gels, which provided a little bit of relief, but it was also numbing, which is kind of pointless if you actually want to enjoy sex with your partner. So they also had prescribed pelvic physical therapy for me, which was extremely weird and not something that I really wanted to do. So right after the rape happened, I met my ex-husband, and at that point in my life, I was obviously extremely vulnerable and open to all kinds of manipulation. And I just wanted somebody to be there for me. And the timing was, perfect for someone who would be manipulative to kind of swoop in and take advantage of me. So I went from this traumatic experience directly into a very emotionally abusive relationship. A few occasions, physical abuse happened, and it was just all around really bad. And I felt kind of handicapped from what had happened to me. And he kind of used my experience against me in a way that the control was supposedly a way of protecting me from anything like that happening to me again. So I was slowly but surely isolated from my friends and my family. He began to really take away all of my self-worth and make me feel like I was unimportant and that I was stupid and that I was just reliant on him for everything. And in some degree I was, because I was really crippled by this thing that had happened to me. So obviously being in that kind of relationship and having these sexual issues was a complete recipe for a disaster. I wasn't pleasing him sexually because of what I was going through, and he made me feel like it was my fault. He would basically tell me that there was something wrong with me because I wasn't climaxing fast enough, so I started faking it just because I felt like it was my duty to have sex with my husband, and I was getting literally no pleasure out of it at all, and it was a really hard time in my life. Eventually, I ended up leaving him, which was definitely a very good decision, and that experience has really created a new purpose in me to help other women who are in those kinds of situations to get out. I always used to look at women in abusive relationships and just think that they were so ridiculous. Like, if a guy hits you, why don't you just leave? And I just thought that they were basically stupid. And I never thought that I would find myself being one of those people. But you really do. You just feel captive. And even though there was nothing physically holding me from leaving, I felt trapped in my own life. I eventually had enough and I left, and I wasn't intimate with anyone for quite a while, and my body was finally able to heal itself from the trauma, which was great because eventually that pain had gone away. But the mental barrier was still totally there, and I was very insecure and didn't really know how to enjoy sex. I would have severe anxiety, sexual anxiety, am I performing the way that I should, or just little things would trigger me into a panic, and I still, even though I wasn't having the pain, wasn't able to really enjoy relationship with anybody. And all around the same time, I started learning about CBD. I started learning a lot about the cannabis industry, and it was really cool. I was never really much of a consumer myself, just because I've always had issues with anxiety, and THC would really trigger those panic attacks in me as well, so it just wasn't something I enjoyed. But once I found out about CBD and how it could help provide relief from a lot of these symptoms without getting me high and without raising my anxiety, I got really intrigued. And I don't know exactly where I first heard about cannabis-infused lube, but once I started putting two and two together, I'm like, why couldn't I take something like CBD that's anti-inflammatory and put it into something like a personal lubricant that could help people that are experiencing pain? And I remember the day that the light bulb went off, I cried. I felt like I finally found my purpose, and I set out to create products that would really help women who'd been in my kind of situation. People suffering with pain from endometriosis, from trauma, from childbirth, tearing. There's so many different reasons that people experience pain during sex, and there's really been no remedy for it, other than masking the problem with numbing creams or uncomfortable things like pelvic physical therapy, but nothing that was just something really easily obtainable, like going online and buying some sort of a lubricant that was non-numbing but helped with the pain. So my very first product that I came up with was the CBD Lube. And while a lot of people kind of think that it's funny, it's truly life-changing. God, I feel so stupid sometimes. Just knowing what I went through for so long. And knowing that I've basically helped create something that is changing people's lives is really, it's really something that makes it worth getting up in the mornings. And what I do isn't about promoting a certain kind of lifestyle. What I do isn't about promoting getting high or any of these things. The whole point of what I do is to help people. I've received several emails from people saying that literally their lives have been changed because of what I do, and I'm just very grateful that I can do that for people. And so that's kind of where I got my start, and obviously I've branched out from there and made a lot of really awesome, fun products that don't just, you know, make sex tolerable, but increase the pleasure. And there's so many different reasons why I've developed the different products that I have. But I just basically wanted to be raw and candid and tell you how and why I got my start. So that's all. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate all of you and what you've done for me. And this is definitely just the beginning of something amazing.